A preferred channel buoy is, as the name implies, an indicator for what the preferred channel is. So, if you were to imagine you were coming down a channel, coming into port, and you had your red buoys over here and your green buoys over here. And here's the coastline. But let's say the river splits in two. And there's an island here. So you could go this way or you could go this way. Either is technically fine. There's not like a restriction in either direction. What will happen is the channel will lead you up until as far as it can go, and then it has to make a choice on which way it wants to send you. There are going to be more buoys further down on both sides so that you can follow them in, and those buoys will connect here. So you can clearly see the split, but then right at the intersection of the split here, there will be a preferred channel buoy. Because while we can confidently say all of these should be red and all of these should be green, and these ones right here, these few, should probably also be green, and these few should probably also be red, there's no way of saying clearly what should this buoy be. So we kill two birds with one stone here. We both avoid having to pick one color for this by giving them both, and we use it to designate which of these two channels is the primary. So maybe there's a major port facility here, and this is where most ships are headed to. So this is the primary. And this over here is a much smaller little like marina that is totally valid to go to, but isn't necessarily what they expect people to be following. So 90% of the time, ships will turn off to the right. So you would put a preferred channel buoy that indicates that this channel here is the primary and this is the secondary. As a real world example, Mayport, Florida, if you're coming in on the St. Johns River, the St. Johns River has a tiny little cove on the south side of it. If you're looking in from sea, this would be looking west, so that way is south. So as you're coming in, there's a tiny little cove off to the south side, and then the river continues. That cove there is actually Naval Station Mayport, so it's actually a naval base. And while it is a channel that leads into it, obviously the majority of the ships are going to continue forward. So you've got the primary channel continuing forward, and then that little offshoot there, and a preferred channel buoy between the two, splitting them in half, showing you that this is the primary route. Now, in most situations, the secondary route is somewhere you can also go to. It's just not as common. In the case of Mayport, it's a naval base, so you need permission to go through there. You can't turn left unless you have a permission. Most of the time, that won't be the case, though. So if we look at the characteristics of a preferred channel buoy, you can see they're both red and green. You can also see that they are composite group flashing, and that is why it's a rule that regular lateral buoys cannot be composite group flashing, because that would get you confused with a preferred channel buoy, which can only be composite group flashing. It can't have any other light characteristic. So the way that you tell the two apart is the color that is on the top of the buoy, which is also technically the color that represents the majority of the buoy, is the primary color of the buoy. So as you can see, this one has red on the top and red on the bottom and only a little bit of green in the middle. So what you're supposed to think of that as is this is, for all intents and purposes, a red buoy. But you can use it as a green buoy if you so choose, if you want to take the secondary channel. But if you're taking the primary channel, which is what the expectation is what you will do, think of this as a red buoy. On a nun, buoy would be exactly the same. It's mostly red and it has red on top, but there's a little green in the middle. Dayboards will be bisected here with the top section being red. Remember, you always want to focus on what the top is. The bottom doesn't really matter. And then I'll zoom in so you can see better. You can barely tell. Yeah, the fidelity of the camera just isn't great. But the symbol on a chart will have the diamond that is typical for buoys, but it will actually be split across the middle here going horizontally, and the bottom will be green and the top will be red. Just like how the bottom is green here and the top is red. If ever you see a little buoy marker on a chart and the top is a different color from the bottom, just focus on what the top is and know that that's the primary, but that this is a preferred channel marker and therefore you can use either. Now if we go over to the green buoys and day boards, they're exactly the same, though opposite. They're still composite group flashing. They're still mostly green, whereas this was mostly red. This has a little sliver of red in the middle, a little sliver of the red in the middle, meaning you can use it as a red buoy, but you should use it as a green buoy. The day board will have green on the top, red on the bottom, and the chart symbol, I think you might be able to see that a little bit better, has green on the top and red on the bottom. So visually, it's very easy to tell. It's pretty intuitive what you're being asked to do here. Now, in terms of light signals, like I said, it's composite group flashing always. It's always going to be 2+1, and it will always either be green or red, once again, based on the primary color of the buoy. So if ever you see a light flashing 2+1, and it's red, you know that that's a composite, or that is a preferred channel red buoy, and this is a preferred channel green buoy. Now, this is as dependent on IALA as the channel buoys are. So once again, IALA A, just flip these all around, whereas in IALA B, you leave these on your right and you leave these on your left coming in from C, and you should leave this on your right and you should leave this on the left, but you can switch with the two. Everything is flipped. So now in IALA B, you should leave this on your left and you should leave this on your right. But once again, you can go the other way if you like. So technically, these are never stopping you. But like I said with the example of Mayport, if you have a preferred channel buoy, you probably want to check the chart on what the non-preferred channel is to confirm that it's the non-preferred channel just because it's less popular, not because it's something that you're restricted from entering, just to be safe. Now, if we go down to the depiction here, you can see the example channel they use. It has a bifurcation right here. Here's the normal route headed into port over here, but you can technically go this way towards on the other side of this island and towards this river in this direction. And we can see right here is a preferred channel buoy. It's red on the top, green on in the middle, meaning it's primarily a red buoy, meaning you should treat it as the starboard side of your channel, pass it on the right, or leave it to your right. Follow this route in, but if you like, you can leave it to your left and follow this way in. That's what it would look like at night. It's the only object that's composite group flashing 2+1, and it happens to be flashing red, so you can tell that it's a red channel buoy. And then on the chart, this is a lot better. You can actually tell what you're looking at here. You can see while the normal channel buoys are all red or all green all throughout, this one is split down the middle, or across the middle here. The bottom is green, the top is red. The magenta circle, once again, means that it's lighted. It just has a light. You don't have to think of that as, that doesn't mean that there's a magenta light on it. That just means there is a light. And you can see based on the description here, it's flashing 2+1 red every 6 seconds. So you know that this is a red light. Green on the bottom, red on the top, it's a red buoy. If it was a green light, because it had green G right here, and if it was green on the top, red on the bottom, you would know it's the other type of preferred channel buoy.